What I value most about my honors college experience is definitely the relationships I left with. Going to college at a place that I wasn't familiar with, didn't know anybody, I expected to have a hard time meeting people, getting to know people, finding people who would be allies that were on my side. Right away, I got to the honors college, met Dr. Rodenmeyer, Lisa Hardman, Stephanie Roby, and found out that I had three people that weren't going to try to act as parents, but were in my corner if I ever needed them. And from there, I started to meet other fellow honors college students. And two of my fellow students I spent time with during my 5 years at Fresno State were in my wedding. They were groomsmen. I lived with some of them throughout my time there. And no matter where I'd gone to school, I'd gotten education, but I left Fresno State with relationships, and that started with the honors college. And relationships are the thing that really bring fullness to life beyond anything else I think you can find. I certainly would still pick the Smittcamp Honors College if I had to do it again. In the line of work I'm in now, I interact with students from a variety of universities, both UCs, state schools, private schools, and I get to hear their stories. I get to hear what they feel like as students there. And the one thing that they don't have, by and large, that I got to have is a small family atmosphere. The Smittcamp Honors College isn't just a group with a name tagged on it. It is a family you go into. And throughout my time at Fresno State as a part of the Honors College, I received special attention that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I make friendships, develop relationships, and have individual attention and opportunities that weren't there for normal students. I wasn't just a number. I wasn't just another student sitting in a lecture class. I was actually a person with a name that was greeted every time I met with the honors faculty. I got to interact with my professors one-on-one. I got to have a little bit different variety and style of general education courses that allowed me to ask questions that I think a lot of students don't get to ask because they're distanced from their professors. I would certainly make the same choice again. My honors college experience has been very helpful in my career, and I get to work with college students, namely college golfers, and I get to come alongside them during their college career and help them process issues of life and faith and purpose. And it's interesting that during my honors college time, being at Fresno State, getting to interact with my professors, you get to kind of take in a variety of information coming from a variety of sources. And while you're taking that information in, as a college student, you're deciding, what am I going to keep and hold on to that's going to shape the way I view the world? And actually getting to ask professors the meaningful questions and talk to them one-on-one, which was certainly a benefit of being a part of the Honors College. I got to understand the foundation and the basis for what they were telling me. And now as college students I work with come and they bring those same questions to me, many of them don't get to ask their professors, you know, he said this and I didn't understand it, but he left right after lecture. I never got to see him again. And the time I had at Fresno State as a part of the Honors College, I can pull from that and I can help them kind of understand where those things are coming from and help them really kind of develop a worldview of their own. Thinking back on my honors college experience, the most compelling aspect I would have to say is becoming a part of the Smittcamp family. And this is what I mean by that. When you come into the honors college, you not only have the name Smittcamp tagged across the institution you're a part of and the smaller family you're a part of, but you're actually a part of the real Smittcamp family. I got to have dinner with the Smittcamps at their home. I was updated on what was going on with the health of the Smittcamps and able to pray for them and get to know them. It's more than just the name on the college. It's actually a family that cares and that wants to be a part of the students' lives. And I didn't expect that. That was an added bonus that was far beyond anything I expected when I came. Looking back at my time as a part of the Honors College at Fresno State, I certainly would do a few things differently if I could. While I was at Fresno State, I was also a student athlete on the golf team, which tied up a lot of my time and took away the opportunity to take part in some of the opportunities that were available, namely study abroad programs or even the Smittcamp retreat that they used to have. And my schedule didn't allow me to do that. And if I could go back and do it again, I would find a way to make time to do that, to take advantage of those programs. Because when you leave college and you're immersed in a setting where now I'm married and I'm working full time, I can't go leave for a semester to the South Pacific or to Europe or another place to study and to get a look at their culture and kind of get outside the bubble of the United States. And if I could go back, I would take advantage of that, because the things I would have to sacrifice now to do that are really quite a bit bigger than what I would have had to sacrifice then to do it for a semester. The strongest reason for pursuing an honors college experience, I would say, certainly is the chance to be a part of a small group that cares about each other, to be a part of a group that can challenge each other. When you come into the Smittcamp Family Honors College, one thing that I understood very, very quickly, I was intermixed with people who were motivated to do something, who were motivated to change the world or to study something that would make a difference in other people's lives. If you're considering the Honors College, there's a chance that you're already pretty much a self-motivator and that you have a goal possibly. But now you come into an Honors College where you're surrounded by a small group of students who are competitive, who are working hard against each other, and each pursuing something in order to make a difference and not just going through the motions, and it pushes you beyond your limits. I think certainly I was pushed beyond my limits and was expected to do more than I thought I could do. And that was just a tremendous experience. The most transformative experience wasn't a single event, but was a number of events. As I began to sit in classes, especially my Honors General Ed classes and the Upper Division Honors General Ed classes, I got to sit and listen to deans of departments or professors who were extremely knowledgeable share their ideas, share their philosophies on a variety of things, from biology to religion to philosophy. And in that setting, they taught me to ask the question, how did you come to that conclusion? To not just take their information and think, oh, okay, that's nice, and move on with it, but to actually weigh what I was learning. And when I began to ask that question, things began to change, because all of a sudden you have a huge conviction with what you believe. Because no longer is it just something that your parents told you or that a professor told you that thought sounded good, but you asked, how did you get there? Show me. Because if I'm going to put that in the way I view the world, and I'm going to start viewing the world through that lens, I need to know that it's real. I need to know that it's true. I didn't come into college with that type of mindset whatsoever, but I definitely left with that mindset. As a part of the Smittcamp Honors College, the way I viewed relationships actually changed quite a bit, and it changed my dealings with the rest of the university and even my teammates on the golf team. Because I arrived at Fresno State and was immediately accepted into a family, and immediately as a part of that family, I was, in a sense, loved, and I was told that, you're important, you have value. And I believe it made it easier to pass it on to other people, to where I had students in classes or even teammates who I barely knew, but I was challenged to immediately pass it on to them and let them know that they're cared about, that they're a person too, that they're not just somebody that just sits left of me in class and takes up the chair that maybe I wanted to sit in. And I think right away that being a part of a small family and immediately accepted certainly affected the way that I immediately showed acceptance to other people in the school and even teammates who were vastly different. That's one thing about the Honors College. You're with a variety of students, and your small little family that you're in there with is very different than you are. There's some that look like you, but it's not a little cookie cutter mold that they recruit in. You have people from a variety of backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, geographical backgrounds, who have different experiences. And you begin to appreciate the uniqueness of all those things. And it helps you in your relationships with other people on campus, because Fresno State is a very multicultural campus. And it's easy to get caught up in our little bubble, but when we see that there's such value in those other cultures, it drastically improves what you take from your college experience. For a high school student considering going to the Honors College, I would tell them this. I would tell them they had a choice between being a part of a small family and a small group, or being a part of a school that may have a name that they think has a greater level of pride than Fresno State, which I don't necessarily agree with now. But in that situation, they would certainly be someone who's a part of the school, but they might get lost in the vast array of students there and programs, where that wouldn't happen as a member of the Honors College. And I'm sure that student, if he's looking at coming to the Honors College, will get accepted to other bigger schools that may have names, but their decision is this: is that name and the pride of that name going to mean more than your experience and the relationships you gain? That's where I would leave it with them.